That's right, my spoiler drops Monday, January 15th at 5 p.m. EST. Don't miss it! The card's busted. Salud, my celebrants. It's Man Sant, and I'm here to tell you everything there is to know about the upcoming Celebrational, which is just about a week away. It's going to be live streamed by yours truly from out there in Queenstown, New Zealand, and I've been putting in a lot of work on this sucker behind the scenes, planning with LSS, and making sure that this will be one for the history books. But there isn't that much information about it online. So I got approval from LSS and along with my friends at Fabric to go ahead and push out an article that tells you everything there is to do about the Celebrational. And I think there's actually information in here that some of the players as well aren't privy to. So DM Armada and folks like you should probably also take a look at this. But anyway, let's jump into the actual article that I put out, and I want to touch on some of the highlights of what you can expect out of this Celebrational event. So anyone who hasn't heard of it at all, the Celebrational is a way for Flesh and Blood to celebrate the 5th year of Flesh and Blood. Now, the exact anniversary of Flesh and Blood is, I believe, October 11th, 2019, so the true 5-year anniversary will be coming up this year, but we have entered the 5th calendar year, at least, and we're at a time, competition-wise, where, still a bit of that lull period in December, January. So LSS has put together a Celebrational where they're inviting a bunch of these community heroes, as they say, to celebrate not only in the birthplace of Flesh and Blood, but also with the release of a new set, Heavy Hitters, which will be world premiering also this upcoming week in Queenstown itself. So it's a bit of a tournament, it's a bit of a celebration, it's a bit of a thank you, right, for the entire community that has really brought Flesh and Blood into its 5th year of existence. And to make sure that everyone who can't be there in person enjoys it, well, they brought me in to go ahead and make sure it's live streamed. And we're really hoping that goes swell, aren't we? But the Celebrational itself, there's going to be a mix of different attendants, right? Not only the players themselves, but there's also casters who are invited. Matt DeMarco and Craig Kemple specifically. Matt, everyone should know as Flake, host of the Instant Speed podcast, huge Flesh and Blood personality. And then Craig, who's actually a teammate of mine on the Runaways. He is a bit of a old boy from the MTG world. I think he's actually like a US national champion in MTG and also someone who's done a lot of casting there. So now he's bringing his wealth of experience over into the Fab scene. And like I said, teammate, good friend, happy to have him. We've got Amanda Coots and Nicolo Pacquiao as our judges, who, if you haven't run into these people, they are fantastic. Some of the best out there in the judging world. Amanda actually works for NASA and Nick is a new dad. So really happy to be celebrating with them. And then the coverage team is comprised of Savage Feats, my company, alongside Nathan Dolman, my business partner behind the scenes, will be making an appearance in the flesh, and the two of us together are going to conquer this sucker. And then the contestants themselves, Brody Spurlock, Kelvin Law, and Viet Pham, all earning invites from the XP qualifier. You had to be number 1 lifetime in your region. So Brody had the US, or the North America unlock, Kelvin had APAC, and then Viet Pham had Europe. So that's how they got their invites. Steven Cookus, who you know as DM Armada, the Pirate Lord himself, got his invite for content creation along with Andrew Heintz, actually one of the most OG Flesh and Blood content creators, believe it or not, where his first video covering Flesh and Blood came out a mere week after the game itself released. So he was really ahead of the curve on that one. And then you've got Saint Hung, the collector's invite, the man behind Fabled Hunters, huge voice for Fab and the collectors there. Arlie Violette, who you may know from either Purple Fox, she's the developer of that amazing software tool, or from her scorekeeping and TO support that she's done for a lot of the European scene. That's how she got her invite. White Rabbit is an LGS in Germany that has hosted, I think, the most events under one roof. They have a whopping amount of over 280 events played in their store. And then Melody, the community, the people's champion, who you've likely seen on Twitter, always touting the flag for LSS. And then 1-2 Juice, some of my favorite content creators out from Malaysia, actually. I don't think they all get to play, just mind you. They count as one invited slot, so they'll be able to rotate in and out when it actually comes to the gameplay. And then Carolina Alvarado, the cosplay invite, incredibly talented and never complains about having to fly cosplays all around the world, so I'm sure she'll be easy company. And then Mara Ferris, who got the Scholar of Wraith invite, because of a lot of the work she's put into fleshing out a lot of the languages of Flesh and Blood, believe it or not. And then the ambassador invite went to Yui Tokiwa, really being one of the earliest voices in Japan that has brought Flesh and Blood to an entirely new region. So that's the Celebrational invitees, right? But if you got an invite at all, then you actually were given all expenses paid to fly out there, including stay, including some meals and some excursions. It is an incredible opportunity that LSS went out of their way to give some of the community here, and I hope it starts an annual tradition, maybe not annual, maybe it's every 5 years, where they, check in and send similar invites around the world to get people into the heartland of Flesh and Blood. So the actual format that you can expect is pretty interesting as it comes to the Celebrational, because it's going to be a total 13 rounds of Swiss spread across 2 days, where it first launches into 4 rounds of Underdog Blitz, where you are limited to playing a Blitz hero with less than 100 Living Legend points. So the list itself I embedded in the article so you can take a look, but it really ranges from Phi at the top performers to some of the newer heroes like Melody right there at 0. And you know it, Levia is actually playable in this format and probably one of the better decks in that format. So that's going to be exciting start to the event that then leads into 3 rounds of heavy hitters precons, where rather than just showing up and picking which precon deck you want to play, across the 3 rounds, the judges will distribute to each player a Guardian at random for 1 round, then a Brute at random for 1 round, and then a Warrior at random for 1 round. So at minimum, every player will play 1 hero across all 3 classes. They can't do any prep work and decide, oh my god, Olympia is the best precon, I'm just going to try to spike with it. So you'll get some variety for sure. That will round out day 1. And then day 2 launches into some longer games, because all those are played under, Blitz 30-minute rounds, right? But then day 2 launches with Heavy Hitters Solo, which is really unique here. Everyone who is invited is given a playset, a full playset of the entirety of the Heavy Hitters set to then build a deck with and then rock it for 3 rounds. And I really, really want to see what some of the incredibly talented deck builders like Brody and Mara put together for this. Is it going to be nothing but KO? I don't know. We'll see. And then 3 rounds of Living Legend. It's the same Living Legend format that was played at Barcelona, but there are new restrictions in place that make it so hopefully Starvo isn't the end-all be-all as far as best deck in format, right? So that'll be pretty exciting. The first fresh look at this new Living Legend format. That will wrap up day 2, so that's Wednesday and Thursday, and then Friday is when the final 2 players at top of standings will play off. And this is where it gets even more exciting, because people have asked about best of 3 formats when it comes to Flesh and Blood, and now you've got it for the finals of the Celebrational for the biggest prize you could imagine on the line, which I didn't mention yet, building suspense for this. But these 2 players will then play a best of 3 where the higher seed chooses the first format they'll play between Underdog Blitz, Heavy Hitters Solo, the CC format, and then Living Legends. The loser then chooses the next format they play, and then if there's a game 3, they play that last of the 3 formats. The winner of the entire Celebrational will get to design, along with LSS, an action card that comes from their own imagination, along with getting their likeness, either themselves or some memento that they want on card art, eventually published as a real card. Now, the stipulation is, number 1, it has to be an action card, so either an attack action or a non-attack action, funny enough. No instants, no weapons are allowed. And then you also have to actually enter the event with your card already sketched out and pitched. So everyone who plays in the Celebrational will actually have an idea of what they're fighting for, what they're trying to add to the game. So that'll add some fun stakes along the way, where each player is not only playing for personal pride, but they've got their card already conceptualized. It's not a mystery. They know what they want to add to the game, and they're playing for that chance. So there you go. That's the entire Celebrational format, what's going to be happening day by day. And then we'll leave a little bit more to the surprise as to what the venue looks like and some of the fun things we have planned for stream. But this article, I really did lay out all the information that LSS approved me to share a little bit early. So please go ahead and check it out on fabric.gg and get excited, because this thing is coming up next week, and I've seen some hype for it, but it's not everywhere. So let's get people excited because it's going to be a great week for Flesh and Blood next week. Remember, spoiler season is kicking off, then we have the Celebrational, and then on top of that, the Calling Queenstown will also be live streamed by me. So there you have it. That's all the juicy deets from the Celebrational. If you have any other questions, leave me a comment and I will answer what I can. I feel like I've been holding in a lot of this information on the back end until LSS dropped an article or something for me to talk about it more openly, but turns out I was approved to just drop the article myself, baby. So here we are. Check out the Fabric link, and I'll see you all on stream at least, or in person at Queenstown next week.